I kind of like, it was like a crossroads, comics, magic, and I chose magic for a little bit. Like, how many times have you been at work and something political happens and you're like, ooh, I need to leave the room right now before I hear something I don't like. You know what I mean? So bangs. That's what a tailgate at like a Jackson State like game sounds like. I want that energy to be like really kind of at the fold here.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Panels on Pages. My name is Dalibor Zujovic. I am the indie hype man, and today, of course, we are joined by another indie creator, Mark Bandy from Crimson Sleeper Studios. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely a pleasure. I came across your content about a year ago, I think, maybe a little
I
bit
think
more,
so,
right
yeah.
around when you started on TikTok. And I do got to give that up to TikTok. It's always great to introduce me to new people on the platform, and especially new comic book creators. And I asked, "Do you have digital?" You said yes. Boom, boom, boom. Everything was done. And I actually just read it today. I just read it right before this because I really wanted it fresh in my head as well. And let's just get into it, man. Let's talk about PSION. Give us kind of a quick description about what this title is.
So it is, so like Dalibor was saying, my name is Mark, and this is PSION. It is my debut comic book. It is a supernatural thriller set on a college campus. Follows this young criminology major, John, who's caught in a conspiracy. There are some strange benefactors offering charity on campus, and he's pretty much the only person skeptical. We got some dark detective themes with some supernatural stuff kind of in the background. It's inspired by my time as a student at Jackson State. And yeah, we got to kind of do some fun things here. Kind of got to be inspired by both Western comics and also kind of like manga and anime, and kind of burst something out of the middle. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, so what you said it's a thriller, like you said, because you're calling it a Southern Gothic thriller,
yes,
and
yes.
I love that, and it definitely put me in a mind space because reading that on the cover, reading that on the kind of opening page, that put me in a headspace of like, hey, this isn't going to be like high action, high adrenaline kind of thing. Like you got to let this cook. So, because I know when I read stuff that's if it's meant to be like action, if it's meant to be superhero, like if I have an idea of what it's going to be, I get into it. If I'm 3-4 pages in and there's no action, my mind starts wandering, and I gotta say this is a very engaging piece of work. I think especially if you're somebody who is interested in history, who is interested in just philosophy, like I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff in in this comic that keeps you engaged, and you're not like at no point, at least for myself, like I'm not like, oh, when is the fighting going to start or whatever, I'm just like interested. All the characters have depth, all the characters. And one thing that I always want to point out is when something feels grounded and established. I talked about this last year with Superman, right? We walked in and he's in there 6 years, and there's a world happening already. We're just joining the story, and that's what this feels like. All of these people already have connections. All these people already have a world that they participate in, and we are just on. It's a Tuesday, and we're here on a Tuesday experiencing this story, and I love that.
Thank you, thank you. That means a lot. We really wanted to really make sure that like it felt like a school. Like we wanted like like it's a college campus. We wanted to kind of like have these slice of life elements to kind of help supplement some of the like more slow burn Southern Gothic stuff. And everybody at college has a persona.
Right.
There's a person for everything. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and like we can really kind of showcase like that kind of like cult of personality if we really just give people time to show who they are. And that's another beautiful thing too. We get to be a little bit of a longer comic because we're doing indie. We don't have to fit like a tight 22. We can give you 48 pages and really kind of let our sink our teeth into this. Sorry, our teeth into this. Excuse me, teeths. LOL. So no, I'm glad that that you were able to see that we want these characters to feel full because we're taking them all on a journey. Everybody's gonna get to have an arc, no flat characters, and this is the start for everybody. So they need their moment. They need their moment.
I will say I was surprised by I'm gonna just call her the best friend. Her being British, I was just like, oh, I just wasn't expecting that out of like, because I saw that the first line of dialogue is "oi," and I was like, wait, what? And then
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
oh, she's British. That's kind of cool. Like I wasn't expecting that.
I'm glad that you said that, honestly, because like it was like the inspiration to make Danita British was out of kind of my also surprise at just how many foreign exchange students we had on Jackson State's campus. Like there were so
Mhm.
many folks who were, that were living a life very similar to Danita's, whether they were, from Africa and they were like diplomats' kids, or if they were just, really upper crust, like, aristocrat type folks who have a lot of money. They want to be able to go and enjoy, like an American education for like, their masters. And like they would choose a school like Jackson State because, for price tag, plus also the ability to be at an HBCU that's very rare for some folks outside of like, certain environments. So I wanted to kind of showcase that, you would see a lot of people other than what you might expect, in typical little small Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah, there's some folks, there's some big fish who choose to come and, come get an education over in Jackson. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I like, even in a book that is set at an HBCU, we get a little bit of diversity, and I like that.
thank you.
And it's
Thank
and
you.
it's not just like the token white kid. I do like that too.
Yes, 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 yes.
I will say I was at C2E2 last weekend and I visited the Rising Eagle table, and that's a black-owned comic book company. And everybody was talking, they're promoting their book, and they're like, "And this is our new artist." And I didn't even notice him honestly until they said that. That I looked down and it's this white kid. I really wanted to be like token. Like, I can't say that. That's
Oh, no.
just like I can't. Like it's funny, but like I'm like, because everybody else is black. Like all the books are black, and then his book is completely different too. So it's like a completely all their stuff is mostly superhero style, and his is very much like for kids, like very animated, very like it's definitely a kid's book. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is like different in every way. Yeah, I like that. I like seeing the variety in characters too. Like you have the jock, you have and like even the jock is like not an asshole, like respectful. Like I I kind of hate the piece of shit jock kind of stereotype.
I
Like as I've
agree.
known
I
lots of
agree.
people in sports throughout the years that are perfectly fine human beings, like respectable human beings. So it's like to see a respectable jock in a school setting is always like refreshing.
I agree. I agree. Just because I mean, I know a lot of like student athlete types. A lot of folks who had to, spend a lot of time, but it's like they barely had enough time to hang out with friends, if you will. There are a lot of folks who were, the stereotypical athlete in college. I know a lot of people who were the student athlete, and I wanted to really showcase what that looked like. The person who's just trying to struggle to make enough time to be able to catch his friends, in between classes, because it's
Right.
probably going to be, maybe I might have to hit you over the head with like a bad pass to probably get to say hi to you that day. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right, right. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Man, it's a good book, and I will say the anticipation for the second one is immediate. I will say I'm like, oh man, this is so like I see the things. The first time there was like the inkling that something went wrong. I'm gonna try to stay away from spoilers of issue one, but the first time there was an inkling that something was wrong post procedure, we'll say, I was like, is that like what exactly? Something's going on, and it's very much like, all right. And then when it goes the whole way, you're like, oh, okay, geez, something definitely happened. And because I couldn't tell if when the doctor came back in the room, that was meant to be like, I mean, it was obviously meant to be like villainous, but I'm like, was that just his perception? Like, was he just like, man, since he was having doubts and everything, is that just his perception of like, oh, like this feels wrong? Like, so that's how he's seeing it. Cause right after they're like, oh yeah, you're good to go. Like, here you go. Da, da, da. You'll, go on about your day. Everything is fine. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, was he just imagining that, or did they like snatch him the way it looked, from our perspective? So yeah, give me a little insight on that.
I I love hearing your perspective on that because me and Che, we got the cards in our hands. Like we know what's coming next. You know what I mean? We know we can only anticipate what we think the impact is going to be, right? Because we know what's around the corner. But I haven't thought of to hear your perspective on it from that regard. I did not think about it that way, and I think that that's super cool because when we were trying to design the scene, obviously we're trying to include foreshadowing once you have more information. It's like,
Sure.
it's like a puzzle piece fits in once you have the edges, right? But we also wanted like, the big thing with this scene and just the doctor scene in general. We really wanted to lean on the medical anxiety. We wanted to lean on this
Mm,
idea that like when you go to a hospital, your life is in their hands, and that's a lot more realistic than you might. There's a lot. Obviously, there's a realism element to this. Like you want to make sure that they like connect the right hose to the right gasket, like things like that. It's a people
Right.
mechanic. I hope that they're doing me right, right. But there's also this element of like I'm gonna walk away from this okay, right? Like you didn't do something to me that I wouldn't know, because like how would I know? You know what I mean? So we wanted to
Right.
lean on this idea of like, how do you know if the medicine worked? Like, was it good medicine? Was it, you know what I mean? We won't know until we start to see the symptoms, once we recover. So no, I love hearing that from your perspective, because we wanted to lean on that anxiety a bit. So
Okay.
that's good to
Okay.
hear.
Cool. I like that. I like that. So let's change directions a little bit. I really want to get into it, but also don't want to talk about a lot of spoilers. So I feel like the second half of the book is mostly spoilers.
No, I
Um,
understand. I understand.
so I don't want to lean too much into that. It's a great book, absolutely, and I think people need to read it and pick it up. And we've got a number two coming on
Yes, we do.
Kickstarter soon, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Do we have a firm date for that yet, or
You know what? I'll give you this as the exclusive a couple days early, since I rock with you. Since I rock with you. I soft launch, things could happen. I an asteroid could hit my house. But this we're going for a May 15th launch
nice?
date. We are about pretty much like a little bit less than 6 weeks out. We got ads and stuff going, so that way we can continue getting signups. Let people have enough time to know that we're about to kind of, we're getting people on the train, if you will. But
For
it'll
sure.
give us enough time to kind of get some of the finishing details of the book finish as well, because we're currently in letters. So May 15th, we're looking for a May 15th launch. We're going to go for a month. And then that way, because the book's going to be finished by the time we launch, we're hoping to have the books out to people by the end of the summer. So we're hoping to have books to people for
Outstanding.
back to school season, hopefully a little bit before back to school. So
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love to hear that. With lots of talk about Kickstarter, how Kickstarter works, how people do their Kickstarters. I love to hear that a book is going to be done by the time the Kickstarter launches, because that is a huge element of it. Recently, there was some bit of a kerfuffle, let's say, on Facebook with a friend of mine, Danny J. Quick. I'm not sure if you know him, but he
I saw the kerfuffle as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was I felt the type of way because I was like, and they've said the Demario is a great dude, everything, they kind of sorted it out, but to me I'm like, as a grown man, like, how are you going to just go out in public and complain like this in public instead of going to,
It was the
I don't
second
know.
time doing it too. It was the second time doing it too. He did it for he did it to, I think, Alpha Comics, the one that did the Cardinal. You know what I'm talking
Mm,
about? Yeah, yeah. I think they also about like a week before that. I
see,
saw that as well. So
because like
it's a behavior. It's a behavior we're
yeah,
seeing, a
because I'm a
pattern.
big believer in like communication on a Kickstarter, right? If there's delays, you just let me know, because like I understand as a consumer and as a creator, lots goes into creating and publishing and shipping a book. Lots, so like ton of work, ton of hands. Like anything gets caught up, it slows down the whole process. So for me, all I require from any campaign is communication. If there is a delay, hey, something came up, this has been delayed, we're anticipating this much longer. Cool. I still have campaigns that are probably a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years old, that are just delayed due to various things. Okay, to me, as long as there is consistent communication, we're good. Equally, I have had campaigns where I have fervently sought out information and been just shut down at every avenue that I have attempted to get information through. And I'm just like, hey, you have my money. Where is my shit? And it's either nothing, or it's super vague, or it's still working on it, or all these other things. So, and I don't go public with it. Like, for instance, I did a video on this channel. If you're listening, make sure you go back through the archives. I did a review of a campaign that I received, and it was 100% the last thing I did. Like, I received the stuff and then I talked about what happened. It wasn't during, because something could come up, right? I've had situations where a creator had personal health issues, right? They ended up in the hospital, like this is so unexpected that there's just no way to plan for stuff like that. Life be lifing, as they say, like you're not going to run away from that. So for me, the biggest problem was the going out in public and being like, oh, this person, this, and this, and like have that conversation beforehand and get an understanding of what's going on. Right. Because even in that little post that he created, he was like, oh, he gave me this bullshit excuse or whatever. And I'm just like, but I mean, like, the excuse is what happened. It's not a bullshit excuse. Like,
No, yeah, like,
there
things
was
were
a delay in
communicated.
the
Yeah,
art.
yeah.
Period. Like, that's not an excuse. That's what happened. And I guess I don't know, especially from a creator, that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, what it takes to make a book. If something happens, God forbid, like you're working on your book and your water heater blows up. You got something way more important to deal with than drawing this comic. So you have to focus that. So to just say that, oh, it's bullshit to have an excuse. Like, if something happened, something happened. I don't know. I'm also like, Danny's a friend, so I'm just like, I'm a big defender of my friend. So immediately,
No,
as
I
soon as I
feel
saw that, I
that.
was
I
like,
feel that.
nah, nah. Like, I was like, and
Right, right.
people have been
Like
trying to like, oh, like,
Danny,
oh, he's a
like
good
come
dude. I'm like,
on.
nah.
Like
I'm like, that's the
I'm
fastest
with
way
you
for
on
me to
that.
not follow someone and not pay attention to their Kickstarters. If I see you attacking other creators especially creators who I consider friends, like if I see you attacking other creators on social, when this could have been a personal conversation, this could have been a DM, this could have been a phone call. I'm like, now I have an idea about your personality, and I'm like, he's got an uphill battle for sure to ever get me as a backer, and that's on him. That's not on anybody else. Like that.
It's something you have to think about as a professional. Like seriously, you have to think about when you decide to do things like this. I definitely agree because I mean, like the stances you take professionally, people are going to feel some type of way about that. And so obviously sometimes you piss off people you don't really care about pissing off because
Sure.
they're aligned against you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've definitely got some choice comments over some of my videos whenever the whole like comics explain thing was happening. So
Oy.
I doubt some of the people who saw those videos would, if they saw me, would immediately want to back. But to be fair, they probably knowing their base, they probably weren't going to back in the first place. You know what I mean? So I think that making my stance known to my base so that way I can do well works well for me there. But I do agree. It's like if you are having this issue, just because like the biggest part with that whole post from Demario, that kind of what made me upset was that he framed it from the instance of I can't stand creators like this because they make it harder for other creators to get funded.
Right.
That was when I personally had a problem and knew that this was like a bit cynical and self-interested, because that's just not true. Danny does so much for the community as far as like trying to push other people's books and help them find their communities as well. So I knew that just wasn't that's when I knew it was kind of like, okay, so you chose a hill to die on because it was close, I
Right.
guess. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And I'll be honest with you, I I am as involved as I physically can be in the indie comic scene, and I while I am regularly surprised by things that existed that I wasn't aware of, so I'm not going to say that it's impossible for me to have omitted this or missed this, but when I saw the post and Danny replied and he was like, another creator, I was like, creator of what? Like, I ain't heard of it. And then I looked it
No,
up and
I know what you mean.
I was like, no, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this. And you're on two issues. And like, I really feel like maybe you need to be doing a little more work from promoting your own stuff. That maybe that's where your social media should be focused. Because this is the kind of behavior that I attribute to clowns like Eric July. It's Eric July spent, 5-10 years or whatever building his rage base of just like fuck Marvel, fuck DC, fucking wokeness, blah, blah, right? And then he was like, I'm making a thing and it's not woke and it's not this, right? And he sold a bunch of comics, and I'll put that in quotes because he's not selling comics, he's selling rage. Because I promise you, because I had stopped following him so long ago that I forgot who he was. And when he posted his video and it was all like, oh, anti woke, and he's like, we don't care about you or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's that dude. And immediately, like any interest I had for the property, I was like, I'm not at all interested now. Like you could have come out and said, hey, I have this new comic book I'm creating, da da da. And like you could have got me back, but you chose to come at this from like this rage perspective. And immediately I'm like, ah, you know, so like if I come across this campaign and I see this title, now it's gonna be like, oh, it's that dude. It's that dude who like call people out on social media instead of going to him like an adult. Like, I don't know. It's immediately like it's like there are different ways to promote your work, and I think the absolute worst way is by rage baiting, is by trying to strike up some sort of controversy or something like that, where you either want to play a victim card or you want to play like you want to play sort of to the common denominator, like the lowest common denominator. Like I can't get behind that in any fashion. Like there's a bunch of people that are like that. There's a bunch of people that are like that, and I politely excuse myself from their sphere. Like that's just
No,
how I
I
do.
I feel it. I feel it. It's there's moments when you need to like, take a stand or call someone out, but as far as like making it your entire personality or like making
Right.
it every time something pops up you have to put your 2 cents in, I don't know. I definitely agree there. It's is it professionalism? Are we here actually for your opinions or your stories or like your commentary on life through like what you're trying to give me in your comics, or are we here so you can like placate my bad opinions. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, because like that's definitely. I'm gonna be honest. Um, I personally had no guilt over the price of my comic book after seeing how much Eric July charges his. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
my
that's
goodness.
that's the most insane grift I've ever seen in my life, and
It
I think
what
that
a ridiculous dude.
that's
Here's my thing,
insane.
man. My
Like
whole
Eric, I hope you see this because you're an awful person for doing that to people. You should learn how to like what 3 times markup, buddy, on production costs. Start there and see if people want to buy it. Don't like, oh, it's so insane. I'm sorry. He's so
I
ridiculous
didn't
for
even
that.
look at the pricing. My whole thing when he did his campaign, he made that little trailer video and everything. I just remember actively looking to figure out what this book was about. Because he did this like 4 minute trailer, and the whole thing was about how they're not the other guys and they're not going to do identity politics and all this other shit. And I'm like, okay, but what's the comic about? Like, what is it? I understand what it's not, but what is it? Like, what exactly are you selling me here? And I'm looking at it, look through the whole like Indiegogo campaign or whatever, and I'm just like, I have no fucking clue what this book is about. Like, you're not selling a comic book. You're selling to your established base of people who hate the woke or whatever the fuck that means to them. And that's just, you're just selling, it's just, this is hate merch. That's all it is to me. Like, that's
Oh
how I
yeah,
saw it. I'm
I
like,
agree.
I can't get behind this, you know? And, I thought, you come across certain creators and they seem a type of way at first, and you create like an idea of what they are, and then you see them sort of behave for real, and then you're like, well, damn, now like I've spent money with this person, so now I'm salty at myself for not doing a little more research. But also some people just they do a good job hiding it, I always like to I don't not to give them any shine at any time, but like Black Sands, I at first I thought it was just kind of like a bit. I thought it was like a put on, like he's just gonna be like this brash, aggressive marketer. Like, all right, like that's an approach for sure. And I was like, all right, like I'm interested, like to see what this book is about. Picked up the books, and then like not even 6 months later, he mobilizes his audience to go after Frankie because she didn't like the book, and she had some opinions about it that he didn't like, and then he like mobilizes his audience against her, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't, if you put content out, any kind of content, whether it's written, whether it's drawn, whether it's video, and you aren't ready to take negativity in any fashion, whether it be constructive or not, you need to be ready to take that without trying to like strike back at it. Because people are all, there's gonna be haters, first of all. Like, no matter what you do, even if it's great, even if you're a great person, there's gonna be haters. You gotta let haters hate. Like, And then on top of that, constructive criticism, which is what Frankie was giving, is something you should listen to, not be like, oh fuck that, I'm gonna like everybody in the comments go get her. Like what the fuck? I was so salty immediately. Like put the books up. Like I'm gonna get rid of these. These are getting. And I was like, oh, I could donate it. I'm like, but I also don't want people to like consume this because like once she like gave her perspective and all this stuff, and I was like, man, that is true. That is true, right? It's like this like hyper masculine, like toxic kind of perspective, and I'm like, yeah, there's not really a lot of room in that narrative for emotional growth. It's all about like building your power, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really about that. That's not really, even the most shonen manga has emotional growth. Even as much as I've said it before, as much as I don't think Dragon Ball Z is great, uh even Dragon Ball Z has emotional growth. Like
Oh yeah,
so,
dude,
and that show
Vegeta
is
for
literally
sure.
about punching.
Piccolo, yeah, Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan, like they
Yeah,
all like even Krillin. Krillin has to like come to terms with the fact that he's completely outclassed, even though he's the strongest human on Earth. Like
yeah,
there's a lot of character growth in that. You look at Vegeta turning Super Saiyan 1. I would argue that's because he finally gave up a little bit on his ego and decided he
yeah,
could be second place and still be important. He could still be the Prince of all Saiyans. He doesn't have to be the strongest of all Saiyans. And like
right,
that's where he found his actual power. And like I
right.
think that I don't know, that's way more important than just I did push-ups today. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like
Which is
it's
like
way more
on the
important.
surface, if you don't actually consume that story, on the surface, that's what Dragon Ball Z looks like. It's a show about
Yeah.
punching. It's a show about punching and learning how to punch harder. Like, but like if you actually watch it, like there is I'm not a huge fan of it just in general because it's like a 5-to-1 ratio of like character development and story of like fighting and it's like and it's also like the same narrative 14 times or whatever, however many seasons there were. Every season's the same. New bad guy, Goku fights it, dies, goes gets stronger, comes back, wins. It's the like it's the same thing they did on Flash at the end. By the fourth season, I caught it. I was like, oh, this is the same plot.
Run faster,
Yeah, right.
baby.
Run, Barry, run. Someone says that about a third of the way of the season after he's like, oh, I'm not fast enough. Like it's the same plot every season. I was like, damn, I was mad that it took me 4 seasons to fucking figure it out. I was
Right.
like,
Like
it's the
Grant
same.
Gustin really he was acting, man. He kept on selling us a different version of why am I not fast enough? Like every
Right.
time he would find a way to act it different.
He did a good job.
Oh
But I
yes.
will
Oh
say there's
yes.
always that's those series, all of the CW shows definitely in my eyes um fell to the same trap of people just not having enough communication and then people being mad about people not having enough communication. It's like
Yeah.
you didn't why didn't you tell me? Like I bet if you looked for it, you'll find at least 50 instances of that exact sentence in those series. Why didn't you tell me? Like it's like, oh, this could have been a 4 season series because if y'all just talked. You could have
Just
had
use
you
the
could have
cell
had 3
phones. You
villains a
could have had
season because you
this.
could have just had
Yes.
communication and resolved problems. Like,
I agree.
yeah. Yeah. So it's I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun times. Let me switch directions here for a little bit. You are a creator, but of course this started as reading, this started as consuming. Take us back to the origin. What's your first interaction with comics? What was the first jump in point? Like what's your first comic book that you remember that was yours?
So I think the very first comic book that I remember like being like firmly mine, where I was like, this is mine, I need to take care of it, was when my mom, I asked her for my birthday. I think it was my ninth birthday. I asked her for the Marvel monthly like subscription where they would send you like an issue in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't have an LCS anywhere near me. Comic book
Sure.
shop is very much a myth in small town Louisiana. And I remember I told my mom, let's go to the comic book shop. Let's go to the comic book. She's like, baby, they ain't no comic book shop. What are you talking about? You better be lucky we have a Toys R Us. And it's like now, oh man, he said he's doing terrible. No, I'm just kidding. But Toys R Us is gone. The kids crying. No, but it's it was pretty much me getting Ultimate Spider-Man, Mark Bagley, that artwork as a kid. really, really kind of like what like an amazing kind of like first introduction. I knew who Spider-Man was just because I loved Spider-Man from like the animated TV show and things like that. Obviously, like the Tobey Maguire movie and whatnot. But as far as like actually finally getting to like read Spider-Man, that was like very much like I think my first entrance. As far as I think main continuity, I think around the same time, my dad, because he saw I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man, he's like, "You need to read Real Spider-Man," right? He was like, and he gave me what's it called? What's it called? Um, the one with the first appearance of Morloon, where he's like digging his hands in the it's like in the
Oh,
bricks
okay.
trying to climb after
You're talking
Spider-Man.
about the Straczynski run.
Yes, dude. Your dad gave me that. Like Morloon's like digging into the bricks, like as Spider-Man's trying to run away, like trying to absorb him, and like I was geeked. I was like, this dude's different. Okay, so I had a really good time with those books, kind of growing up. I loved Spider-Man. Obviously, he was like my favorite superhero growing up for sure. But I kind of like would like I worked on that Marvel Monthly for like probably like two different probably about 2 years. I think I got probably about like one other like probably like some minis that were coming in through with it as well because they would include like some extra stuff with it sometimes. But I didn't really get to read comics fully again until I was in college. I was when I was like I think like in between the summer of my freshman and sophomore year, I got to work at Hastings Entertainment, and Hastings was like this kind of multi it was kind of like I guess like Borders, kind of like
Oh,
Borders,
okay.
if you will, kind of like Borders, where like you like they had like you could rent video, you could like buy comic books, like you could have a
Hmm.
box there if you wanted to, you could buy trading cards, video games, novelty stuff. They had a full bookstore, they had like the little
Interesting.
coffee shop. We loved Hastings, bro. We loved Hastings. We hated it whenever it closed down, but I got to work there. It was like definitely one of like the cool kid jobs in my small town. It's like, oh, you work at Hastings? Everybody's jealous, right? And like I worked in lifestyles, and lifestyles was pretty much video games, consumer electronics, music, and comics. And that was when I first finally got to kind of like look at like what does like what does new comic book day look like, right? That was like my first introduction to that. And when I was working there, oh dude, it was Hickman's Secret Wars, the beginning of it. So
Oh
like
my
we're seeing all
goodness.
yeah. So dude, I'm like X-Men
Oh,
92, X-Men 92. I'm putting that in people's boxes, like all these dope books, like all these like I'm getting to see like what it's like to see like the explosion of like a main run and then all these books you can birth on the sides of it. I'm getting to see people's opinions about it. All the old heads like, I don't know why Marvel thinks that they can just do Crisis. They did it better back in the 80s. I'm hearing all the old head opinions. I'm
that's
like
funny.
18. It was awesome, dude. It was like the first time I ever got to have that. And the fact I got to have that in Louisiana is pretty unheard of, especially in North Louisiana. So that was when I kind of got to like read stuff back then. That was when I first kind of got into like indie stuff, like large press indie stuff like Image, things like that. I remember that's when I first saw like things like East of West. I think back then, maybe a little bit before its time. What was like the big one that I think I remember reading? I think Hack Slash might have come out around that time. I think if I'm remembering correctly. So like there
Okay.
was like some fun stuff I would just kind of pick up based off cover because I didn't really know much about comics at the time other than just like main continuity like big two movies, things like that, right? So it was me kind of just picking up with the cover, doing the classic thing, pick up a cover, have fun, and then go like do something with it. So that was like my next progression. I then had to take another break from comics because I fell in love with another nerd subject, Magic the Gathering, and all of my money then went towards
Yeah.
Magic cards. Yeah, I was because that's where I also fell in love with Magic because I was selling Magic cards to people at Hastings as well. So I kind of like it was like a crossroads, comics, Magic, and I chose Magic for a little bit. And like I tried, I remember I wanted to go pro at Magic for a little bit. I like
Oh wow.
went on the open tour and everything.
Oh geez.
I could day two pretty consistently. I'm not top eighting it. Not top eighting it. States though, states I could top eight pretty easily. I can
Damn.
give you the business. I can give you the business of states, but in an open,
Damn. Okay. Okay.
I'd be lucky to take home gas money at an open. I'll put it like that. I'd be lucky if I took home some gas money, but
Damn.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'm a little bit older. I'm willing to take that. When I was younger, I was like, why aren't we better at this, man? All this stuff, right? But now that I get older, I realize Magic was kind of an engine towards where I'm at now because I got to kind of character analysis, breakdowns, giving them color alignments. Anytime I design a character, I think of a Magic card in my head and like what their effects would be, what their creature type would be, how they would interact in a board state. I try to think about it from that perspective, just because it really helps me kind of make those fuller characters that we were talking about. So played Magic for a good bit. Then I finally graduate college and I'm like, okay, we're going to try and do the pro Magic thing again, right? So I buy into Modern. And I was gonna start playing Legacy again. I moved to a bigger city, so I can actually kind of start like going to different card shops and playing. And I noticed that once I got to a larger city, that like comics and cards can kind of be delineated. They can kind of have their own spots and kind of do their own things. And like the idea of like, because I always had comics and cards like right next to one another.
Sure.
And once I didn't have comics in the room, I was kind of like, man, where are the comic books at? Dude, I used to just come and like kind of chill and do this like in between rounds, go pick up a book, kind of see what's going on, and like keep up with what was happening. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And when I found out, I kind of had to realize, this is a lot different now that you're not in a small town. We were able to kind of like, okay, you're gonna go get a box at the local comic book store. You're gonna go figure out what books you want to read, and you're gonna jump into stuff. And I think that was when Milestone Returns came out. So I was kind of picking up those books. I loved Static. I remember reading like I remember getting some of like the original Milestone books when I was still in undergrad. Like one of my friends just kind of had like the compendium, and we would just kind of like check out stuff. Like my boy Bacon, because he loved reading. Like he was so good on like reading comics like digitally, like Luffy links, right? But my boy was reading, right? So like he loves reading the X-Men. Like I think he still reads X-Men weekly up to like now. Like he went all the way back to the beginning and read everything through. Astonishing X-Men's his favorite run. Funny enough,
that's crazy. That's
right. He loves Astonishing.
Talk.
He loves Astonishing X-Men.
That's
bro.
Crazy
he loves
talk.
It.
If you're reading everything and
he loves Astonishing X-Men. He loves it. I think he likes it because like Gene gets to cuss out Scott. I think that's why he loves when Gene cusses him out. He's like, you see what you become. That's why I'm like this. Like,
wait, what? Which Astonishing one are we talking about now?
If I'm remembering correctly, the one where like. No. The where they brought back the young X-Men to the new like old met young.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Okay,
I think it was right after. I think it was right after Phoenix 5. I want to say.
Oh, okay. So the all new.
Yeah. So that's like that's some of his favorite stuff. He loves that stuff. I think for the drama. But to be fair, I mean X-Men. So like
it's all drama.
Yeah, you read it for the drama.
It's soap opera on steroids.
Yeah. And he got me really bad. Like, he also was a big person when I was an undergrad who kind of made me realize, you can definitely kind of like figure out how you want to do this on the side. But like, if you're not able to go and like, bi-weekly, you can still be participating. So it was like me kind of figuring out like how I wanted to be a comic book nerd. And like when I got to Phoenix, there was this is a comic book city. I'm gonna be honest. Like there are so many oh yeah, you would not believe how many comic book creators live in like the Phoenix metro. We got we got Todd McFarlane that lives here. We got Mitch Gerrits, he lives here. Jay Gonzo, I'm pretty sure he's around in the area because he always frequents events here. So like we have like I think like Scott Godlewski, he's close if not local. There's a pretty good like I could kind of list off names for a good bit for as far as like the people who make it like a good point to come to the Phoenix shows. And I actually got to meet Mitch Gerrits at a signing at Drawn to Comics. That's where I actually was at yesterday when I did like selling comics at, which was super cool. And like he was doing a signing. It was for, I believe, Riddler One Bad Day, the one shot.
Okay.
Yeah. And like watercolors on that were great, right? It was super cool. I love the artwork. I love Mitch's artwork just in general. And went to go meet him and everything, get it signed. Because I was definitely like kind of like I was buying a lot of books back then. It was very much like I was very voracious with like what I wanted to pick up as far as like I was picking up anything and everything just to kind of get like a vibe of like what's allowed. You know what I mean? Like what do the big two and like the larger presses like allow as far as like what can a book be? And like there was a lot of stuff as far as like what a book could be, in my opinion, especially outside of superheroes. But even within it, I thought that book was pretty cool. Just to see the Riddler bashing his English teacher. That was hilarious. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was seeing the Riddler's first kill. I thought that was funny. Plus, I really it was cool to get to talk to Mitch. And I asked him, what do you do if you want to do this? And he was like, just make a book. And I was like, is that easy? He's like, yeah, man, just make a book. I was like, but would you take me seriously? He was like, come on, man. We'll take you seriously if you take it seriously.
Right.
And I was like, all right, cool. So I spent 3 years reading and kind of getting better, figuring out who my favorite writers were, kind of deprogramming my engineer brain because I did not go to school for writing. I went to school to fight cancer.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Right, yeah, biomedical engineering. There's no overlap at all. Unless I'm writing about biomedical engineering.
Right? You can make a dope book about science.
So you will see some science pop up in Scion issue 2. I will say that. So we're definitely going to the lab for a little bit, but we me and Che, because I met Che while I was doing another nerd moonlight phase. Whenever I was kind of taking a break from Magic, I was trying to get into professional Overwatch for a little bit. So I did some coaching on that. Had a decent amount of success. So I got to like tier 3, like that tier 4, tier 3 kind of space, where we're kind of like we're good for scrims. People are hitting us up for scrims, but they're not getting the matches we want, right? So we're good practice, but we're not getting into the tournaments we want. And it was me kind of meeting him through an org. I saw his artwork and I was like, man, if you ever want to make a comic book, I've been kind of thinking about making one. So I think we could do it together. And he was like, I do a lot of art, but like I haven't done like a full project to like sink my teeth into outside of like maybe like a webtoon. So like, yeah, I'm definitely down. I think it would be cool to get to like, progress, flex my chops. You know what I mean? And we really spent some time on it. I had to really, really develop and grow as a writer, like starting from ground zero and just kind of figuring out how you want the book to be. Because there's a lot of ways you could write it. A lot of ways you can make a book as far as like writing scripts are concerned and everything like that. There's no real industry standard. There's some stuff there's some books that look kind of close, but then you'll go and look and see some people's scripts. And you're like, oh, so you can just do whatever you want. Like when you look at Alan Moore's scripts, oh man, Dave Gibbons. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. I'm gonna be honest, man. I bet Dave looked at this and was like, I'm gonna pick one sentence and draw that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest. It's like it's about being good to your artists, coming up with scenarios that are fun to draw, so that way they're not, locked into this kind of boring script and figuring out how to make it work. And like once we really kind of sat down and got the kinks figured out, we had a script that we really liked, and we were able to kind of bring Scion to life. And like it was really cool because like even though we had kind of done a lot to kind of breathe life into the script over the years, a lot of the main elements that we like most of the major beats we had from the first script were still there. It was just about punching them up, giving them like the right gravitas, and like treating the dialogue as like something that is really important, not just like something to kind of help you get through the art. And once we did that, I feel like we really had something that worked. And like even to this day, I'll go back and kind of read some of issue 1 and I'll be like, you know what, like for our first try, like I'm happy with this. Like obviously I would change some stuff. I do some like stylistically things like that, but I'm still like I hold the book in my hands. I'm still very proud of it. And I think that's like me and Che said, thank you. And like me and Che really wanted to like, no mistake we can see can be on this before we give it to somebody else, because there are going to be things we just can't see. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. It's our first book. And like, we need to make sure that like, if we could make it better, if there's something that is bothering us, we have to fix it. And I think that because we have that mentality, we're truly giving you our best at that moment. And like, hopefully it can just be a snapshot over time with each book of just how much better we're able to get, because we're really trying to just be the best we can be at that moment.
Dude, that's it. You did a great job with it. I would say to really say that this is your first outing is I was gonna say I was expecting for you to give me like, oh, we did like a little like 8-pager for an anthology and then learn from that. Like I was expecting there to have been like a breadcrumb before this. So for you to tell me this is your actual first thing, I'm a little jealous, I'm not gonna lie.
It's scary to tell, man. I'm gonna be honest, just because there's a lot of folks that they say like you shouldn't publish the first thing you write. Like you can't do that. Are you crazy? And like I kind of sat here and I was like, well, like what if you keep chiseling on it? What if you just keep every day you just go and you just give it a little smack, and like you breathe real heavy every time. Did I mess it up? I might have messed it up. You know what I mean? Every day. But like, over time, you're taking more confident swings every day. And yeah, you're not getting as much practice in. I didn't get those years in undergrad to be able to kind of, be the writer that I needed to be. And I'll go back and I'll look at these scripts, man. I'll be honest. Because that's one thing I will say. I wrote up to the second to last issue of Scion before we released issue 1. So that way I could go back in and like put in little small bits. But if you go back and look at those drafts, man, that's all the same guy. Like that's not like the same level of writer wrote all of those. And there's like I was an engineer. Like I this the type of technical writing we do for even for papers, like in a clinical sense, there are at the beginning of every sentence. It's not, it's not pretty. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
I
right.
had to
It's
really,
very definitive.
yes,
It's very
yes. And like,
definitive, and there's not a lot of interpretation. And especially with I mean, like even the first discussion in the book is the interpretation of historical events. So like,
yeah, yeah.
like there's none of that in. A friend of mine is a technical writer, and she writes like manuals for uh, programs and like various like tools and stuff, and she went to school for creative writing. So it's like she had to switch her brain
Oh
entirely the other
man.
direction. So
Oh, now she
like,
thinks in Python. That's not
yeah,
fair. Like, that's
exactly.
not fair. Like I was telling my girlfriend that the other day because I was telling her that like for me when I think about like citations or syntax or like grammatical correctness, I kind of have to go to that like Python place of like I end the line with a period. So like she wants to do stuff in Chicago, like as far as like editing is concerned, I need MLA. I need that period to be on the outside of that of like my for whenever I'm trying to put quotes up. Like I need that. That's how I've been doing. That's how I've been coding for years now. What am I just gonna put? Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, can I put a double period? Is that what you want? Like, come on. Like, how are we supposed to end the line here? So it's, I feel for your friend. I'm gonna be honest. I feel for your friend. It's it was fun to get to be because the dialogue came out. That was definitely the beauty of it all. It's like you have all like if you look at like the early scripts, you'll see like the action text in between. Well, not the action text, excuse me, like the scene placement, all the different things that tell you what's going on in the panel before you get to the dialogue. And it's it was a bit of a clash. You see like the technical, and then it's just all right. Let's be a person for a second. It's almost like the draft code switched in a sense.
Right,
Like
right.
it's like, which like to be fair, and for me, like the STEM code switch where you have to talk real proper while you're in the lab, and then the second you finally get to take your closed toed shoes off, it's like I get to breathe. Yes, we're outside. You know what I mean? So we wanted to kind of like that was going to be an aspect of it all, and it feels cool that we were able to still kind of like make something happen because at the end of the day, like I have to kind of figure out where my engineering degree can kind of lead me here. It has to be my North Stars here since it still is my education. And I think
Sure.
that luckily enough, they did teach me how to scale. Now, I would argue that, like, a lot of people say, oh, engineers, you build stuff or like you work with like, tech or stuff like that. I would say that an engineer scales a product. That is what an engineer is there for. You take something that's been made and I can help you mass produce it for a profit. That is what I'm here for. That I can 100% apply to comics. And I think it helps me a lot on the business side of things because it lets me it's like I can take the hat off when I need to. You know what I mean? Like it feels good to get to take that technical hat off whenever it's time to just really figure out what someone's words are supposed to mean. And
Sure.
I had some of that distance, I think, in work too. When I worked corporate, there'd be moments where I'd want to be able to take that hat off so I could just talk to somebody like a human being for a second because
Yeah.
it felt like it'd be
Yeah.
easier. And you can't. You just genuinely can't. And like
Most
I'm
times,
glad
yeah,
that I
you
get to
can't.
do that. No, yeah, seriously, it could cost you your job potentially if you do. And like I'm so glad that I get to do that with this. Like yesterday when I was out selling comics, right? Every comic I'd hand over to somebody, or even if someone just took a flyer so they could read the book online later, like the smile I would have, like the giddiness, like I felt like a little schoolgirl, man. I'm over here just laughing and
Yeah.
giggling after every time someone comes to my table, and it's because like this is something to feel proud about. You
A
know what I
hundred
mean?
percent.
I don't know if I feel that proud to say I'm an engineer nowadays. You know what I mean? Luckily enough, I didn't go for electrical or mechanical or chemical, something that's a little bit more applicable to the military arts. But they still hire folks like me every day. And sometimes when you tell folks you're an engineer, it doesn't know if you're really an agent of good in the world anymore. And like when I get out and do this, I know I am. I know I'm actually out here trying to be a good person and try to like make something that can maybe make people smile. Because that's why I got into comics. I want to make comics that make you feel hope. That's what I want to do. Like hope
Okay.
comics, things like that. Obviously, there's going to be some, there's going to be some, you're going to have some dread for the hope. But
Of course.
it's like, did you see the new Superman? I'm
Yeah.
guessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like that movie, like the way it made you feel going into the last act, like when Clark had to go like into like the atmosphere to clear like the engineer out of his lungs, like they were literally trying to smother hope. And like, I just wanted to like, I wanted to just like thump my chest the whole time because Clark just wouldn't give up. Like that's what I want to make. I want to
Yeah.
make stuff that makes you feel like that's possible. That you could break the atmosphere if you believe like enough. You know what I mean? And like that, I get to do that. And like at one point in my life, I think that engineering was me trying to do that. I wanted to learn what the constraints of my system were because I wanted to do superhuman stuff, man. I wanted to come up with cures for things or like try to make like a new day happen. And like it's a little bit more realistic than that. And I think that I get to do that with my books. I get to kind of find what that, that story is that maybe doesn't exist in the real world. I can put that into a comic and like have it like the way that I kind of see the world around me kind of manifest that way.
Dude, that's incredible. And I love you that you have that North Star in there, like the reason as to why, right? Because there's always going to be people that make it, I want to make money. I want to, the one I hate the most, honestly, is when I see people who are making their first comic and they're, on Kickstarter or whatever, and they're talking about trying to get a movie out of it. And I'm like, you don't even have a comic book out yet. I need you to relax. I need
Yeah,
you
dude. Like, yeah. Like,
I
I'm
need you to
so
focus
happy to
on
be
the
a comic
product.
book. Yes, like be happy to be a comic book. Like, be
Yeah.
happy to be what you are right now. Like, I'm gonna be honest. If I were to grow and be big enough, and people want this story to be something that grows to that place, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But like, I'm worried. I'm still focused on this book. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, this is what matters to me. Like, I want to tell this story, and
Focus on the
uh,
task at hand.
yeah, and like I'm proud to be that. Like I'm proud to be exactly what I am right now, and that like people can disengage with me here. With like, yeah, there's a promise to grow. Obviously, there's a promise to grow, but I shouldn't have to tell you I'm doing it, or like I should have to tell you where I'm going. Like you should already just see that like I'm working to build up to that now.
Right. Right. Now you mentioned you kind of breezed over it a little bit, so but I want to swing back around to it. You said that before you published the first issue, before you created the first issue, you wrote up until the second to last issue.
Yes, I did.
So that means that there is a completed arc already planned for Scion.
Yes, there is. We have the first arc is going to be 9 issues. We're planning to do a trade after every 3. All of them are going to be 48 pages. We're going to keep giving you those kind of hour-long episode type books. That's what we're going to go for this series. I think of it like The Sopranos, as far as like length is concerned. So we have a plan in place for this first arc. We want to give you arcs essentially in 9 issue formats like this, three books, 3 volumes for each one, 9 issues total. And we want to build that out. I have right now, because I have outlines for the second arc. I didn't want to do anything more than just a basic outline.
Sure.
And then I have some like maybe I have some little small things I want to kind of maybe include later on. I have a vision. Definitely have a vision where I could see it all really kind of budding into something fun, bringing in some other characters that I have for this one shot that I kind of wrote on the side. I don't want to tell you too much, but
Sure, sure, sure.
I love to write within the universe I have, so that way I can kind of have things to pull from later on. And then like when it's just kind of once we get the art ready, I can go rewrite that draft as like the writer I am now, give it the more polish it deserves, since I have more reps in on my own stuff. But yeah, stuff like that. But it's I want to do at minimum 4 arcs, just because I love telling a story in 4. I think so. This is going to be controversial. I do not know if I believe in the 3-act structure. I think four.
Ooh.
I think it's just 4 acts, man. I think at the midpoint it's supposed to go from reactionary to being actively choosing your own decisions. But I would argue, yes. Don't get me wrong. Some stories are great with just that longer second act that kind of keeps you in that place. But I do think the midpoint should shift the protagonist's perceived actions a little bit more. They shouldn't have to just kind of be having things happen to them. They should be kind of making the things happen for themselves. And I definitely think that by having four arcs, we could really tell this. Because K.M. Weiland kind of talks about it. Like we crave, obviously we tell things, we love 3s, but we need that denouement. We need to have that moment after the fact to kind of just reflect on things or to kind of know what this all kind of meant. Like it's going to essentially a moment where things just kind of shake out. And I think that if we have 4 arcs planned like this, I think narratively or at least theme wise, we can really have that shake out while also having something that's kind of complete. Now, that being said, if we could tell more stories, that'd be awesome. But like right now, yes, I could see, like, I have 4 arcs fully planned right now.
Damn. Damn. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I like a fleshed out, polished universe. I like to see that somebody has worked out everything. You know, I think a lot of people that have beef with the major two uh always talk about like there's no progression. And I think the only thing that stifles progression is uh an infinite ending, right? We're gonna write X-Men until the end of time. And it's like you could do that, but the problem is y'all want to do the same X-Men until the end of time. And there's no progression because you never put a button on it. You never say, "All right, we're going to close it out here." And I honestly think the way to improve the mainstream, I have my mainstream shelves over here. The way to improve the mainstream, at least the big two, is to put end dates on certain characters and certain books. I think if you stop making X-Men books for a year, the next X-Men book you put out is going to put record numbers on the board. I think if you say, "Hey, we're going to close out this arc, we're going to finish it up," and then the next thing you do, you can move the characters forward, you could do anything you want at that point because you've finished the run. And you can put the next thing out, and the next X-Men #1 is going to put record numbers on the board. I think if they took a year off X-Men, I think they would have a new best-selling comic of all time on their hands. And
I
it would be an X-Men #1 again.
Yes, it would be. It wouldn't just be, oh yeah, we're back with another number, all new #1.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
okay.
Because that's the thing they try to do now is like, oh, let's do another #1 in 2 years. Like for the #1 sales, but like that's just speculator sales. That's not fan sales. That's not like if you really want speculator sales, take a break, finish the arc, take a break, and then like let some of the other books breathe, right? Wow, we don't have X-Men. Why? Or Wolverine is still running. We could pick up Wolverine. Oh, well, New Mutants is still running. We could pick up New Mutants. You know what? Like whatever it is. And then when you bring back X-Men and you say, hey, this is the next big thing, we have now made massive changes. That's where you have your next big #1. Astonishing X-Men #1. Whedon jumping on X-Men, one of the best selling of its time because it was something new. It was progression. It was change. It was, oh, we had this Grant Morrison run. We had this whole thing. And now we're going to do something different. And that's the thing that I think the mainstream doesn't recognize. So you already having even just this first arc to say, all right, I have this first arc done. I have the complete story. And it's one of those things I always say, like, if you never got to make another one after this, is it done? And that's one of those like is the universe rich and alive and you can make other things in it? Absolutely. That's all. I think that should always be true, unless you just write some like dark thing where the universe ends at the end. But like I think if you are planning a book, if you are you got to do it to the end effectively, and you say this is going to be 9, then it's going to be 9. And if the universe ends after 9, you did a tight 9. You did a complete story. And I think a lot of people don't do that. We were talking about that at the show last weekend. We talked to a lot of people who were on issue 2, issue 3 of things, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be 10." Or I bought a couple trades, first 3 issues, and no, it was first 6. He's like, "There's gonna be 6 more issues. So there's gonna be 1 more volume." He's like, "And then that's it." And I was like, I love to know that you have that in mind, because what happens with stories that are never ending is there seems to be no direction. And that's one of the biggest complaints right now about Marvel, especially, is that it seems aimless. There doesn't seem to be a direction. And yeah, if you just say we're gonna write Spider-Man until literally we can't write anymore, and it's always gonna be Peter Parker, then nothing matters ultimately.
Yeah,
Like
I
nothing
agree.
matters because like we did Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse was huge, but then we just went back to Peter Parker, and he was kind of broke, and broke up with Mary Jane again, and then this again, and then that again. Like they relaunched Amazing Spider-Man, and what did they do? They put him. Oh, he's roommates with Captain Boomerang now, and I'm like, okay, but like it's still the same villain from like the last 40 years, 50 years. Like, do something different, do something interesting. I'm definitely on JP side. I think we retire Peter Parker. I think I started the hashtag back in the day, make Peter Parker married again. Like I think we marry Peter Parker off, and I honestly don't care at this point if it's Mary Jane or somebody else. I had my married Peter Parker. He was married to Mary Jane, and then fucking Joe Quesada shenanigans. I put it on him because he's the reason all of the early 2000s mistakes were made. Wolverine Origin being one of them. Like Joe Quesada was like, "Oh, I want to do this cool shit," and it's like, no one wanted this. No one want. Okay, you're gonna do it anyway. like, 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 I liked the notion because that was his thing. Is the notion that people can't relate to a married Peter Parker, a married superhero. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. Reed and Sue have been married for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Clark has been married for 20. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, actually? Like, it doesn't, like, the insanity of this, like, oh, we can't relate to married people. Like, yes, we can. They're aspirational. Here, to me, as a kid, reading Married Peter Parker was this dude's got responsibilities and a job and superhero responsibilities. And then on top of that, he still has to make it home. He still has to protect his wife. He still had like all of those things mattered. And then at the same time, we got to see Mary Jane go through various arcs of her own while she was married. And one of my favorite, to this day, one of my favorite Spider-Man books of all time is a little 2-issue run where Chameleon 2, Smerdyakov, um, kidnaps Peter, puts him in this like electrified cage so he can't get out, and he's like, I'm gonna go say hi to Mary Jane, right? And he like shifts into Peter Parker because he figured out who he was, and he goes off to the house. And there's this great moment, like kind of recounting back to the Spider-Man animated series where he chased after the Shocker, where he screams out "Shocker," that kind of thing. He like grabs he like grabs the bars and he's like Smartyakov, and I'm like, this is fucking amazing. But in the meantime, he hits the house. He comes home and he's like, "Hey, honey, I'm home." And Mary Jane, thinking it's Peter, gets a kiss in and realizes it's not Peter because Mary Jane's a fucking grown up and a developed character and knows what her husband kisses like, grabs the bat and puts the business to fucking Chameleon. Peter like comes down the door. He's like, Mary Jane, Mary Jane. She's like, too late. I got this
Already
handled.
handled it.
This is
Done.
business. This is easy, light work. And I was like, this is the shit. This is what I'm talking about. This is a partnership. Like I love that. And that's the thing is like when they started talking about that, I'm getting older, and then this new EIC comes in at Marvel, and he's like, "Oh, you can't relate to this married Spider-Man." I'm like, "The fuck, I can't! I just did this for 5 years that I've been reading. What are you talking about?" Like, I was a kid, I was a teenager, I didn't even have a relationship, but the notion of being an adult and taking these responsibilities and still like maintaining a healthy relationship with your partner, like that was that was the lesson I was learning. Not like I don't know, I really fucking hate the notion that like we can't relate to people who are in different life situations. Like that's the kind of dumb shit that that like white people use as an excuse not to read black comics or not to watch black shows. It's like, oh well, it's somebody said recently that what was the book? No, I don't know. It was Wonder Man. Wonder Man. They were like, "Oh, I can't watch Wonder Man because it's like the black experience." And I was like, "I watched Wonder Man." I'm like, "It was the actor's experience. Like he happens to be of Haitian descent and like they're Haitian Creole, so he goes home like there's like you see like the family element of it, but I'm like outside of that, not like it's all about him and his personality, and it's about him trying to become an actor and dealing with all of that, and also his like superpower emerging, all of these things. I'm like, I mean, none of this is like the Black experience. This is just a human experience. This dude's got a little ego on him at the beginning. He's got to work over his ego. That's not unique to Black people. Like this, all of the everything that was happening, I was like, I don't know what the fuck these people are on. Like, I can't wrap my head around the excuses that people give not to expose themselves to anything other than the shit they already know. Like, I can't. Sorry, I'm getting a little heated about it.
No, I understand. Wonder
I
Man
get
was
really
good,
salty
dude.
about it.
I feel it. Like
I
Wonder Man
really
was
get
great.
salty
I
about it
feel
because
it.
it's like it doesn't make fucking sense. Like you watch like you can get your you can get your head around being a spaceship captain, you know. Oh, but a Black person can't. I don't even know that's what would that be like? Like it doesn't make sense. Like I fucking hate that shit. Like, ah, man, that's why like I've been like literally unfollowing a bunch of Facebook groups on Facebook because Star Trek Facebook group specifically, because there's all these motherfuckers just complaining about Starfleet Academy, which is the most recent series. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan,
I haven't
but
watched it yet, but I have heard about the controversy or
it's
people just complaining
fantastic.
about
It's
it.
a
Yeah.
fantastic show, and like it relates to this, right? It is a college show. So now I've given you that. You're going to walk into it expecting college life and
Mhm.
young people doing college shit, not stoic spaceship captains and like no fucking like inflexible rules and shit. Like, no, it's college. The whole premise that these are freshmen in college. Like somebody's comment was literally, oh, they spent too much time like figuring out who's going to hook up with who. And I was like, you never heard about college?
Like for real. Also, it's Star Trek.
Yeah, right,
Like
right. Like the
like
first
what?
captain
It's
ever
Star
just
Trek.
had sex with
Yes.
just about every female alien that they came across.
He could find, yeah. Like he thought that was making relations,
Yeah, yeah,
intergalactic
yeah.
ones.
That was
He's
his
like, well, we want them to
interplanetary.
like us.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, they'll like us.
Put my best foot forward,
Yeah, right. I'm saying like that's I can't get behind that, man. Like the the people who follow, like people who read X-Men, people who watch X-Men, people who watch Star Trek, and then they like complain about progressivism and like just in the work itself, not even just like out in the world, but like in the work itself. And I'm like, this has literally been the thing the whole time. Like, is it a different presentation of the thing now? Yeah, sure, because the audience now is different. The people like to see things differently than they did 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Like it like what's funny, they talk about, oh, you're being force fed these ideologies or whatever the fuck. There is a great clip going around of Captain Kirk in the original series, season 1 if I'm not mistaken, telling some under like lower member of the crew who had come to the bridge, had some beef with one of the other crew members because of their species, and Captain Kirk literally says, you leave your bigotry back in your quarters. It has no place on my bridge. And I was like, that's about as spoon fed as it fucking comes. Like, that's like, don't be a shithead. Like,
Don't be
like
a dork.
I,
Like,
I can't get behind people who have this mentality that like you can't relate to certain shit that just isn't your exact lived experience. Because like that, you just look at a fucking mirror. Then if that's what you're looking for, just watch a fucking mirror. Like I
that's what I'm
just don't get
saying.
that.
It also displaces such an over importance on, I think, the like traditional white experience, like, and not even like all white experiences, just like the traditional run of the mill sanitized kind of like American one. Like
TV
we
white.
Yes, exactly. Like we want the Brady Bunch. Like we want what Ed Bundy? Like or sorry, Ted Bundy. We want Ted's the bad one. Never mind. Wrong bad.
Al
I think
Bundy.
the Al Bundy. Yes,
Ted Bundy.
all in
I
the
don't know. Some
family.
of them do
All in the
want Ted Bundy.
family. All in
Some of
the family.
some of
Yes,
them
no,
do.
yes. God, Ted was this. That was the Bundy they forgot about. They was like, yo, we gotta get rid of him. I know I got opinions, but that guy. No, but seriously, like they want that out of their experience, and I would argue that for some reason they pretend that that has four quadrant appeal. Why can't we? I can understand sometimes maybe some stuff this might not be something that people might be interested in, but it's it's just really funny whenever we do have something that seems to pique the interest of people in that regard, and then you kind of see the same people who want to have these opinions just kind of come out with like the BS rhetoric, like the folks trying to like shame sinners all last year and different things like that. Like I'm glad that like we Michael B. Jordan kind of got the and Ryan Coogler kind of got to have the last laugh at the Oscars and do and get seen for their work, which was dope. Like it's so cool to think that Naruto's #1 fan has an Oscar. So like right, that's so I love that for us. So it's I agree with you there. Wonder Man for me, I'm gonna be honest. It was maybe 2 weeks ago. It finally dawned on me that you could perceive his want to be seen as like the actor with the debonair and always trying to like Simon wanting to see himself as this like overly polished person. That could be what it's like to have to be in that like in like higher achieving spaces as a black person, and that like if you have any outburst, you'll be seen as
Okay.
explosive or you'll be seen as things like. It took me a kind of a little bit to be like, huh, like, because like, what the scene for me was when Simon watched the doorman on the phone and he just slinks down, and it was just like how many times have you been at work and something political happens? And you're like, ooh, I need to leave the room right now before I hear something I don't like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those moments where I was like, it kind of put two and two together later. But for someone to immediately go there, I would agree with you. I would say that they're looking to immediately see the agenda that could be presented by a black face. That's very cynical.
Yeah.
And I would, yeah, like I think we should like allow people to tell us their story before we immediately say how it could be self-interested or be something that they're trying to use to get ahead. Like maybe that just happened to them. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so that's one thing that
It
I
it,
Wonder
it
Man
was
was lit. I loved that. That
it was
show
a
was
great show.
great.
It was a great
The fact
show.
we got Sir Ben Kingsley back too. First of all, that was an amazing decision. I love that Marvel. They were like, "Look, all right, I get it. I get it. Iron Man 3, the numbers weren't great, but if you just stay with us, if you just stick around,
We got him back for we got him back for a bit in Shang-Chi.
yeah,
So and I love
and
that.
that
I
was
love
like
that.
that, yeah, yeah, same. Love that he got to be in like the whole movie there. But even getting him back again, I was like, man,
Yeah.
keep bringing this dude back, man. He did like the
Yeah.
actor. We need this type of
I
acting in
want
the
him
MCU,
to
bro.
be Simon's like man in the chair.
Yes, that'd be awesome. I'd love that. And like maybe he's doing like fun like Green Hornety type stuff where like they're trying to like they like maybe he's coming in incognito with like maybe like running like interference things like that. It could be fun. I definitely see what you're
Right.
saying. It could be very fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I really liked that show. I liked I mean like just you're right though. The notion that like coming into a thing that like hypothetically could have some sort of like heavy-handed agenda and just assuming that that's what it's going to be. I mean, that'd be like saying every show featuring an all-white cast was going to be like super racist. Like, could it be that? Maybe, but like, if we're gonna assume that, then we're not gonna watch a lot of TV. We're not gonna
Yeah,
read a
yeah.
lot of comics. That'd be like
I
saying when
remember.
Ultimates came out, Ernie talked about this. Like when Ultimates dropped the new one, very very caucastic cast, and like if we were to see that and say, oh man, that book's gonna be like anti-black, too many white people, in positions of power, like what an assumption that would be. What a
Right,
crazy fucking
right,
assumption that would be.
right. Are we talking about we're talking about Dennis's run, right? Like
Yeah, the new
the
one.
yeah, no, that looks gas. Like, oh man, issue 2. They stormed the White House to go say, let's go save America. That no, dude, that looks no. They had to strap Cap down to that table when they told them what happened to America, bro. Like that looks gas. So no, I
Yeah, that
definitely agree with you.
I was
Oh,
salty about I started reading the Spider-Man book, and I loved it so much, but it angered me to another degree because we didn't have this in the main line. And I was like, see, it can work, you motherfuckers. I was so mad about it. I was so mad about it. And then now they just did this, I think, was it this month or next month? They're doing like the special, like ultimate endgame, like variants for all the books, all the mainline books. So on Amazing Spider-Man, they put married Peter Parker, and I was like, "You pieces of shit!"
They don't
I
care
literally,
about our
literally messaged a friend of
feelings
mine who's a big
at
Spider-Man
all.
fan. I was like, they really fucking hate Spider-Man fans. Like this is an act of aggression.
I would
Like
agree. I would agree.
I was
Like
like, what the
that's
fuck? Like Jesus, man. Like you're like, no, not only will we not give you this, we're gonna show you what we're not giving you. like, like, damn it.
hopefully they're building us to that direction. Maybe like now we got, with the Paul stuff, MJ with the Venom arc, maybe they're trying to build them together.
I
But I don't know. I don't know, man.
it
I don't know
does
if we can get there at
I
this point.
think the problem really sits in their approach of Peter Parker as a character, because they insist on Peter Parker being poor and like out of any kind of ability to sustain his own life. Because every time that we have built him up in some way, he had this great job at Horizon Labs, boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. Secret Wars. And I was like, damn it. All right, fine. And then we come back and he's got his own company. I was like, okay,
Parker
okay, I
Industries,
will take
man.
this.
I was hype. Boy made the iPhone. Boy made the
Right,
iPhone.
right. I was like, I'm
I
down
was
with
so
this. Let's
proud.
go.
So
Let's
proud.
go. And then fucking motherfuck, I hate it so much. Secret Empire happens. And it's like, oh, the only possible way to get out of this is to completely destroy my entire company. I'm like, that's what? Y'all couldn't do a little round table and just figure out a different option? And then literally right after that, they're like, "Oh, he's gonna be a teacher," and I was like, all right, at least he's gonna have a job. At least he's gonna have a job now." Like I'm like trying to grasp at straws. I'm like, let this man just have a little bit of adulthood. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we've built this new tool that's gonna let us determine if somebody's like plagiarizing. So we're gonna use Peter Parker's like graduation thesis." And he's like, "Oh shit, Otto wrote that." And what does this
Oh
show?
no.
It was written by Otto Octavius. You're actually fired, and we're taking away your degree. And I was like, fuck, damn it. Like, because it's like the whole thing. That's the fallacy of the what they call the cyclical nature of comic books. It's forced that like the cyclical nature of comic books is forced for the sole purpose of nostalgia. Because what a great move would be in comics, in Spider-Man comics especially, is you give Peter Parker a relationship. It really doesn't have to be with Mary Jane. I have moved on from that personally. It can be, I don't really care. But like give him a relationship, have him move towards a family. And then and like we were talking about before, you write a distinct finale to Peter Parker's arc as the Amazing Spider-Man, right? And that could be his wedding. And you run him through this whole thing, give him a gauntlet, and then he can't get through it alone. You have to bring Miles in. Miles has to be there to help him, right? He just keeps running into these fucking walls and he's like, I can't do it. I need help. And then he brings in Miles. He's like, I can't do this by myself. I need your help. And then Miles's ingenuity, Miles's different perspective allows him to defeat whatever the villain is or villains are. And then Peter Parker's like, man, this is really like we couldn't have done this without you. Like it's you. You're the Amazing Spider-Man. And you literally end the fucking book there. You relaunch in like 2-3 months. Peter's married. You run a Peter Parker Spider-Man book, which is a title that already existed throughout the history of fucking Marvel. So like this wouldn't even be surprising. And then he can be like Jay Garrick. He could be the Jay Garrick of the Marvel universe. He could have the random like spiders showing up to his house for mentorship, right? And then Miles is the Amazing Spider-Man. We run him for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Like that to me, that makes the most sense because it's like this character is 100 years old almost. Like we gotta let this motherfucker relax.
I agree, especially if we're going to keep him in this kind of like the dude who can't figure it out perspective. Like
It's so
Batman's pretty fixed. Superman, he's fixed. Same with Wonder Woman, I would argue, even though we still need to get, once we get her mainline book back on track. But hey, I definitely think that Um, Spider-Man doesn't get to have that type of stability for some reason. They want him to have the Parker luck for some reason, and I don't know if he needs to be that. I think he just needs to be the guy who, like, steps up to the plate even though the odds are against him, because he knows he has to, because he has probably the only person powerful enough to stand in somebody's way. I think that if you can keep telling stories like that, I think he'd be in a much better position. But like they're too worried about like the nuts and bolts of like his personal life. I feel like sometimes like they have to keep him in like that downward spiral. It feels like it's like if he's not poor, if he's not constantly struggling to figure it out, if he's constantly not asking Aunt May for food or money,
Right,
like, you know what I
right,
mean? Like, come on, let him be grown. They don't want to let Spider-Man be grown. That's what it is. They want
right,
Spider-Man to be Spider Boy, and it's like that is a Spider-Man.
right,
Shouts out to Spider
right.
Boy though. Shouts out to Spider Boy. They even tried with him. They tried to give him a little baby sidekick, and like everybody hated him. And or
Well, it's
he
because
got
we
raised
already
to
had the
existence, didn't
next
he?
generation. We already had the next generation. And what's funny is Dan Slott wrote what my favorite era of Spider-Man has been in general, which was the era when he was building up the whole Horizon job, and then kind of being a more responsible, more resourceful Spider-Man, and then the superior Spider-Man and all that stuff. Like that whole era leading into the Spider-Verse was really well done. So when they were like, "Hey, Dan Slott's back," and oh, but he's doing Spider Boy, and I was like, what the fuck? Like we have
We already
Miles.
got, yeah, with Miles,
like
exactly. And it's
like
like they keep trying to they just do the thing we want from him. You know what I mean?
right,
Like give us what we want, and like
right.
they just don't want. That's the thing. Are they afraid we won't give them money after? Like, is that what this is?
Yeah, I don't
like,
know. I don't know.
like,
Personally, I would if you were
I
like if you were to give me an Amazing Spider-Man title starring Miles, then you could do a Spider Boy and like do all these little explorations and stuff, right? Because this is the dude. He's a grown man now. Like he's I think he's out of college at this point. Like he's been a vampire. He's had like a life experience. He's had his own clone saga. Like like let the man breathe. He's not this little teenager who took over after Spider-Man died anymore, right? He has his own complete arc, and we need to let him breathe. We need to build him up. And I think the same is true over in DC. Like Batman, Bruce Wayne's got to die, man. Bruce Wayne's got to die or get married and retire. Break his legs. Do something.
I'd love to
Like,
see him just be happy with Selena. That'd be nice.
dude, that what a I would have been if I was reading at the time, picking up that Batman 50, I would have canceled my subscription.
I feel that. I
Like
feel that.
outright. I was like, I remember seeing the news. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like like it's not the same kind of nonsense that we like, because it was very much built up like this is it. Like they built it like this is the moment we're doing this. And on the flip side, like when they did the Kitty Colossus thing and they were gonna get married, up leading all the way up to it, there was always like there was some kind of hesitation from one or the other. And I was like, oh, this isn't gonna happen. And I actually got to talk to Mark Guggenheim at C2E2, and I told him, I was like, I really appreciate the bait and switch, because just giving us like a quick and dirty Rogue and Gambit marriage, like wedding, I was like, this is almost like if they were to elope, would be the only like better version of this. If they just like went for a weekend, came back married. Like that's the only better version of this, because this is literally just them being like, "Hey, we've been dancing around this for a long time. You want to just do this?" And they're like, everybody's here expecting a wedding. Let's just do it."
Yeah,
I
all of
was
our
like,
favorite people. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, that's man, I was so happy about that. I was so excited about that, because that was another one of those where I'm like, you've been dancing around this for so long, and like this like charming rogue thing, like for Gambit is not, ironically, no pun intended, like that's not a thing that's gonna serve him forever. So now moving him into a husband role, moving him into a more responsible role, I'm like, we've seen elements of this in the past. We've seen elements of him being responsible for others and responsible as an adult. I'm like, moving him all the way into that, that's going to grow the character. And they did that. And I was just like, this is actually the best thing you could have done. Cause like the same thing that honestly, when Hickman started Krakoa and literally, so I have this little backstory. right when the Uncanny Run prior to the Krakoan Age, I was reading and I was watching I was reading the scene where young Cable like explains to Cyclops how he brought him back, and it like dawns on me that like he died, she died. I'm like, death done did them part. I was like, their marriage is dissolved, legally speaking, right? Like death done did them part. They're no longer married per se. And I'm like, and to boost, Logan even died. I was like, so all three of them died. And I was like, you know what I've been sick of this entire fucking time is this fucking love triangle. I'm like, just make them a thruple and let me fucking read comics. Cause I'm so sick of reading love triangle stories. And then like second, third issue of the fucking Hickman thing,
Wolverine with the
it's
beer
like
cans, bro.
heavily
Yes,
implied. I was like,
yes.
oh fuck yeah, this is the best shit ever. And
Like make mutants.
then they showed the house and Jean's room's the only one with doors to both of them. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, we're confirming it now. Got it. Got it. I'm with this. I'm with this. I was like 100% on board. Like, we can't don't change this. Don't ever change this. And then it was even like implied that Scott and Emma even still had some stuff like on the side. I was like, yes, yes, you're all adults. Do your shit. Like,
Right, right.
better living through polyamory, I say. Like, just fucking do
Better
it.
than all
Like,
them fights. Better than all them fights. That's for sure.
I'm so sick of, dude. I remember when I was watching the first X-Men movie and they did the whole like stay away from my girl thing. I was like, oh my god, this is so dumb. Like, I can't like these are grown men. And like it was, I get that it was a joke, but it was so fucking corny. That was like the most corny thing in that fucking movie. Is Scott like doubling back, be like, "Hey Logan, stay away from my girl." I was like, "The fuck." Like
So early 2000s, like so
yeah,
early
right,
2000s.
exactly, right. It was so very much of its time, and I'm like, it's so hard to watch that movie. It's so hard to watch that movie anymore. Like, I'm an X-Men fan. I'm a diehard X-Men fan, but it's so hard to watch that movie.
I feel that. I feel that.
I want to ask you about other stuff, other projects that you are planning on, because you're a writer now, you're a successful writer, you have a successful product out, you're
Thank
working
you.
on your
Thank you.
next thing, you've got multiple arcs figured out. But I know it's not the only thing you're thinking of. I've got sketchbooks here. I've got notebooks here. I literally just pulled out this thing. This has been a notebook. I started this in college. And I've got the little extra, whatever whatever paper I had around me. So what is something that you're thinking of that is the next outside of Scion?
So I guess I can give a little bit of information on this just because I have been kind of sending like the pitch and the script around to try and find an artist, and maybe you could possibly help me find one
Sure.
by talking about it. But I have like a project. I don't want to really explain too much about it, but I want to try to pitch something to a larger press potentially. If we could find a home for it, it would
Sure.
definitely be an ongoing. The idea is for this one to be shorter, a lot shorter than Scion. It would be like 22 to 24 page issues. I have the first 12 issues kind of
Oh wow.
like I have the first 12 issues outlined, and I have the first issue scripted. I have it fully written. I actually sent it over to one of the people in my close vicinity here in Phoenix, Meredith McLaren. She was kind enough to kind of give it a read real quick. She's the artist for Black Cloak with Kelly Thompson. And I kind of got some good feedback from her. I asked her, like, would you like to do this? And she's like, I don't have the time. I'm like, I understand. So she's been trying to. She gave me some good advice on how to kind of like help like evolve it and everything. I guess the general idea, if I want to tell you, like, because I am looking specifically for a woman to collaborate with this project. I
Okay.
really think because there are five female principal characters in the book, and there's only one male principal character. I want to really have like the artwork and because also whenever I write a book with someone, like even with Che on Scion, I like my artists to be co-writers on the book with me. They're the ones drawing it. If you're drawing a scene and you think something would sound better or be better placed, I want to hear that feedback, and I want to make sure you get a credit for it. So I really just want to have like I want to have a woman's voice like in my ear and a woman's touch to the artwork. Like, there's a softness to this script that's very much there. And like I think that a woman would be a lot better of a collaborator for this project. For art styles, for anyone who might be listening, who might be thinking, "Oh, well, he's got something. What's a woman to work with?" Well, I'm a woman. If your art style is something, because the book's art style is inspired by the Belle Epoque. It's very much Art Nouveau. I say
Mm.
like the thing the tag I've been giving people is it's a Art Nouveau good time being ruined by Art Deco. Essentially like these beautiful curves, um, lovely earthly inspired colors being kind of having their good time ruined by like stark lines, lots of high contrast golds, things like that. So it's kind of like that, if you will. So we're very much being inspired by the Belle Epoque, Art Nouveau, that era for sure. So if you're someone that's kind of into doing like those types of covers or different things like that, and you are a sequential artist, please let me know, because we're trying to get some samples figured out, get the first 6 pages, inked and colored, so that way we can try to send them out to people, so that way they can know that we're at least out here. So it's about all I can really say, because it's a it's definitely one of it's big swings as far as like out there-ness. Like I would argue that Scion's a little bit grounded. We're definitely looking at what's behind the veil, but that's still a pretty grounded story. This one's a little bit more. It lends a little bit more towards fantasy, not complete fantasy as genre wise, but there's some very fantastical elements here. So if that's kind of your vibe, if you're into that type of deal, stuff that's kind of like slightly Renaissance inspired, but like more lately pushed with the line works and the colors, might be somewhat of your vibe. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. I'm not really telling many people about it yet until after Scion's done. Once issue 2 is done, just because I want people to. That's my primary child right now. I got to focus on that. That's the one that's in the world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This one's still in utero. You know what I mean? I got some time. I got some time with this one. I'm still
Yeah.
making the crib. I'm still making the crib. I'm painting the nursery. You know what I
Got it.
mean?
Got
So,
it. Got it.
but we do want to, we would love to be able to find an artist to work with. So yeah,
Dope.
that's kind of what we got going on. I'll give you one more piece too. It's inspired by a lament for my Catholic upbringing. It is very much inspired
Mm.
by like me going to like Catholic school when I was younger. Some of like the kind of like philosophical kind of like Catholic tenets that I kind of grew up with, and me kind of challenging those narratively. So
Okay. Okay. Now you say Art Nouveau as a fan of Alphonse Muha.
hey,
I am expecting Muha-esque covers or variants.
okay,
Because I
yes,
don't want to hear that and then not get that. You know what I'm saying?
I feel
Like,
that. I feel that. No, I completely understand. I feel it. I
I want
feel
to
it.
see those frames. I want to see the beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a book of his works, and yeah, that's one of my favorite classical artists.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly the vibe that we're trying to go for here. Because like we want to just there was some really fun beauty during that time period, but it was like the world didn't really know what it had until it was gone, and we want to kind of showcase that in the narrative, if that makes sense. Like we're wishing for a day that's not here anymore. It's been gone for a very long time, and we didn't really appreciate it when it was here. You know what I
True,
mean?
true. That's true with most eras, unfortunately. You know,
Yeah.
you don't hear. I remember. I will say, like, I liked being in the '90s, but now I see things and I'm just like, man, the '90s were nice. Like, like the '90s were kind of the best. I'm not gonna lie. '90s, like into the early 2000s, like through I'd wager, like I would argue through like '05. Through '05.
That was like my all my lower childhood, and like I had a ball, man. I'm gonna be honest. Until Katrina hit, it was good. It was a good time. I'm gonna be honest. Like
Yeah,
that, that was '05. So yeah, it was about right.
there was a lot there. There was a lot there. Think growth happened during that year. Growth happened on all fronts. I remember I mean obviously everything around Katrina, where I was at, and then literally I think that's the year I quit that job and moved to a new spot, like new situation, everything. A lot of growth happened for me and for the world, and even like musically. I remember because I'm a big Linkin Park fan, and I think it was it '07 when they dropped Minutes to Midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and because it was like in time with the Transformers movie, I remember listening to it, and the first time I listened to it, I was like, okay, like it's fine. Like the one song sounds like classic Linkin Park, and then like the single from the movie was like it's good. And I didn't listen to it probably for like 3, 4, 5 years after that. And in that time, I personally like grew and evolved and like started listening to more of the and like just got more educated in general. Dude, I start listening to that album. That is an entire piece. That is a hit piece on the Bush government. That is a hit piece on FEMA, Katrina. Like, oh my God. Like, I started listening to that as an awakened adult, and I was like, holy shit, this thing is political. I was like, damn, like, I didn't realize this was in here. Like, I wasn't ready for it. My brain was not developed enough for this.
Right.
Like, and legitimately, I was just like, oh, it's fine. Like, it doesn't really sound like the old stuff. And then I listened to it later, and I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, it's a powerful album, dude. There's a lot there. If you haven't listened to it in a while, give it another listen. It's a
Definitely gonna have to.
great
It's been a
album,
long
man.
time. It's been a long time. So yeah,
I'm a
for
I'm a I'm
sure.
a big fan of Linkin Park, and I'm a like I like to explore the different stuff, and I like when musicians even do explorations into other avenues and other areas, than they're like what they're known for. So I like hearing people on stuff that I wouldn't expect to hear them on. Like you get Kesha popping up on like random rap songs, or a rapper popping out in a like when Kendrick showed up on a Taylor song, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Right, right. The Bad Blood remix. Yeah,
I was like,
bro.
what is happening? Like, where did he come from? Like, so let me ask you. I want to do two things. I'm trying to like I'm trying to reframe some of the podcast a little bit. I'm trying to do a little bit more of an engaging and interactive sort of experience for my guests. So I'm going to ask you to come up with a question that we will take off the pod, and I will pose that to the next guest. I'm stealing this
All right.
from Diary of a CEO.
Okay.
I really like this because I talk to a lot of different creators, and I want to kind of move that into the creative space because he does the same thing. So the thing on that in a minute, but I also want to kind of bring a little bit more musicality into it. So if you had to, or if not, if you had to, but if you got to choose someone to do a soundtrack for Scion, um, you got to like you got full. They brought out the book, and it's everyone who's out today. What are you looking for? What like, and it could be a mixture. You could make it a classic soundtrack with a dozen different artists, or it could be somebody to just orchestrate the whole thing. Like, what are you thinking? Where's your head at when I say that?
Okay. So I think I know who
Ooh.
I would pick, but I'm trying to think if I want to because we can make it anybody, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we're doing like a group, I know who. I'll put it like this: I would want there to be one person to kind of spearhead everything,
Okay.
but I would want it to kind of be like. Did you know Ray Charles's "Genius Loves Company" album? He like did like this. It was like this kind of album where he did like a bunch of different genres. For every song was a different genre, but he would
Okay.
invite one of his best friends in that genre to come and collab with
Ooh.
him in it.
I
Like he
like
was
that.
like, I always wanted to make a country song. I'm gonna go make a country song with Dolly Parton, like something like that, right?
I see. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
like
like
that.
I would love for Big Crit to be my Ray Charles in this situation
Ooh.
because he's from Meridian, Mississippi. Like country shit's definitely, excuse my language, is definitely the song I think of as like the theme song for Scion, if you will. Like it's very he has a vibe to him that is
I
just
can love
very
that song too.
lively, right? It's so good. It's such a great song, and like
I
I
bang
just
that
like
remix all the time.
oh yeah, with Ludacris, yes,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
song bangs. That's what a tailgate at like a Jackson State like game sounds like, and like that's what I would want like to be like. I want that energy to be like really kind of at the fold here. Now, I think that Crit would want to invite probably a bunch of people from around the South, since it's just like a Southern Gothic thriller thing, but also probably people who are just like into like darker raps. Like I'd want to see features, obviously from Southern rappers. I want to see a Lil Wayne feature.
Mm.
Definitely want to see Ludacris probably come back and do something. If not him, maybe like Young Thug. Young Thug would definitely be a
Mm.
really fire. That'd be super great. I think if we get maybe Jid would definitely spaz, and he definitely has that like dark gothic type sound to him. Like he definitely knows what type of dark we're looking for. Um, I think that even Denzel Curry, I think Denzel
Mm.
would be really, really dope for a feature. That'd be insane. Same type of vibe, Southern, but understands like the eclecticness of like what we're trying to go for here. Outside of the South, definitely want to see Kendrick Lamar if he would because Kendrick just he the dark in hip hop. He's one of my favorite go tos. I would love to see him do like the cartoons and serial voice. That I would want that type of
Mm.
Kendrick. Yeah, I'd want that Kendrick. I'd want him. Even if he doesn't spit a verse, if he just came through and did that like on like the forbidden fruit type vibe, just give us like a chorus, I'd be sick. So things like that, I would want to see. But then also I would want there because there is like it's Southern Gothic. There is a little bit of a spiritual element to it. Maybe some folks who are like into like the rap kind of like chorusy gospel type stuff. Maybe like a Chance the Rapper. That would be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun to kind of include. So there's like even if you look at like New York rap, I'm gonna be honest, there's some people I'd love to see come and just drop maybe like a little small something, a couple seconds, it'd be cool. So like, but I think Big Crit would need to be the organizer for all of this because there's a sound that needs to be at the core of this, and like he needs to just bring in the right features. And I think that when you kind of get all of that together, and if you could make a full album with it, especially if you could have like a One Train type moment where you just get like five or six people to just go like one after another on like this like a really dope beat.
I
Like
love songs like
that would
that.
be yeah, that'd be so lit. Like that would definitely be the vibe. Like a cipher type song. Yeah, I would love to see like we call it Southern Cipher. That'd be perfect. Like, and this would be like all Southern rappers. Like that'd be super lit. Like I think that would be the vibe we want to go for. But we also need some vocals too. Like hip hop alone doesn't really satisfy the criteria here. I would argue there are some Southern like singers who have like this kind of witchy type vibe to it, specifically Kirby. Kirby is a Mississippi artist.
Okay.
She does a lot of like Southern, kind of like it's almost like she kind of like took back this kind of almost antebellum type sound where it's like very like folk but black.
Mm.
Um, and like it's really really powerful. Very much, it's very political. And she has a very like her voice is very there's a wine type element, like not whining, like as if I mean like mature, like as in
I see
like
what you're saying.
fine wine. Yeah, she's like it's like sipping on like a nice like glass of wine or like some really really nice whiskey. That's like what her music kind of sounds like, almost kind of like a higher pitched Chasey Chaplin, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. So not as country, more folk, if that makes
Sure.
sense. But
Sure.
definitely in that same vibe of like mood and how she kind of brings something out of you. Obviously, Tracy's a lot more. Kirby's a lot more. She's a little bit more evocative than Tracy is. Tracy's very like understated.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, just different approaches to the same type of style. And like that, if we could get that kind of black folk element too in on this, that would be like what we need to really kind of bring that supernatural type element out of the sound. So, and I know Big Crit would know how to exactly kind of put everyone into the right spot here. I just think he would do a really great job. Plus, I mean, I want to hear some verses. I want to hear some verses from Crit about
Yeah.
John and
Yeah.
the folks.
Dude, man, like I think comic book creators I think need to spend a little bit of time maybe touching base with some of these rappers on TikTok, some of these musical artists that are on TikTok, uh, and just doing a little something, doing some sort of little collaboration, a little something, like um, I feel like uh, I feel like Michelangelo could do something really interesting for this book. I feel like Akintoye, I think, could be a really interesting because I when I hear his stuff, it's very like if you put a brass band, like a brass sound behind it, it's very much like big game energy. Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
like sound he has. This is because when you were talking about like a southern and then you were talking about college, it hit me back to there's a song that I bump a lot. It's called oh, come on, don't do this to me now, brain. Because it features DMX and he was on Bloodline Records. Um, it's called Tear It Up. It's called Tear It Up. I forget the artist's name, but DMX did the like chorus. but the whole thing is brass. So it sounds like a big, like a school band. It sounds like a band on the field, and it sounds like a halftime kind of like really really energetic. And I was like, oh man, that actually would work really really well for something like this. But yeah, I really like that. I'm gonna put together a little playlist of the
Yeah,
people you
no,
brought up too,
definitely.
because I'd love to hear that sound too. Because that Big Crit, man, I'll be honest with you, man. I thought I was one of the few people that was like really rock Big Crit like that.
Oh, he right, yeah, I love you some Big Crit, bro. I can't even pretend. I love some Big Crit. Like it's just like he's got bars, like, and he's got unapologetically Southern bars. Like he's trying to put like he's trying to like flex with that same Southern patois. Like he's not trying to sound like somebody else, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate him for just saying, I'm just gonna give you maximalism from a Southern perspective, and like that, man,
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah, yeah. It's great. It's great. Yeah, I'd love to see more comic book creators uh, try to work with some of these social like I always it feels like it's like a it feels like it's like I'm devaluing, like it feels like it's a devaluing term to say like TikTok rapper or TikTok musician or like you, like it feels like I'm trying to devalue it, and I'm certainly not trying to do that, but that's just like where I experience these people. Like one of my favorites, and she's in my playlist for the rest of time because I love the song that she put out, but she literally just stopped making music, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like I really like the shit. Is Chemistry is I think it's 2Ks and the chemistry Immestry. Um, I just man, but just like she stopped making music, and I was just like, what the fuck, like, but that's how I came across her was TikTok, and I would love to see people like that, like Cisco Ramon. I'm writing a verse for him too. He did a challenge a long time ago, and he did like an open verse challenge. I'm writing a verse for him too because the fact that his name is Cisco Ramon and no one has
Right,
done a flash bar, like,
right. No, we gotta talk about the vibe, bro. Like we
like I was
gotta like.
like, oh my
Like,
goodness,
he got to catch a vibe, something like.
that's dude. There's so many possibilities there, and yeah. So I was just like, every time I see him drop something, it's so good. He's got such a great flow to it. Yeah, I really I like to see the music. Like that's how I really like TikTok is a lot of crossover, a lot of like nerdy dudes and not a lot of nerdy people create music, and so it's just like a lot of really great crossover. I get to see a lot of cool music with like great art or with like just people. I've seen people rap while they're sketching, and I'm like, that's the dream, man. Like that's so great. But yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about that little exercise, like trying to come up with a little soundtrack?
I think that's awesome. I'm gonna be honest. I think we need more leitmotif in the comic space because music's so profound. I could not write what I'm writing without having the music that inspires me. So no, I definitely anytime we can kind of include like playlists alongside comics or different things like that, maybe even like theme music and stuff like that. Like yeah, I'm definitely with it
That's why
for sure.
Brian, right? Yes, Brian. Man, I'm so like I've been getting worse with names, and I'm so terrified that I'm gonna say the wrong name for somebody, so I had to pause. But
I
Brian J.
understand.
Lambert, that's my dude.
Ooh,
Um, he uh he wrote the sound the theme song for Air Force One's his most recent book, and then now he's writing the new theme song for his new project, which is Who Got Next, and they're doing a comic book and they're doing a card game and like Wingless Comics, y'all got to check them out.
yeah.
Like but yeah, so last thing, we're like I said, well, I'll cut this out. So there's gonna be a pause, not a pause, but there's gonna be like a hard jump. But what is a question you want to pose to the next guest on Panels on Pages? What the next creator I'm gonna talk to?
So I guess the question that I will pose to our next creator is,
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. Well, sir, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on. I've loved this
thank you.
conversation. This has been a long time coming, honestly. This has been one of those things that I've been dancing around, and also honestly, I've been a little lazy. I've been slacking off. I haven't been putting stuff together. So definitely, when you were on, I was like, you know what, let's do this. Let me put something in the books, and then I talked about it at C2E2. I was like, actually, I'm gonna be talking to Mark. Da da da. Like I talked to people. I was like, I'm putting this in the universe. This is happening. So like I was when I came back, I was like, let's do a date. Let's put a date together, and here we are. So I'm so glad to have you on, and I hope you had a good time.
I had an amazing time. Thank you so much for having me. And also, I want to let you know that I'm sending out some digital ash cans of issue 2 as we move closer to the
Nice.
release date. I think I'm probably do the first 12 pages. So definitely expect that in your inbox because I know you like digital. So make sure I get you some.
Appreciate it. Appreciate
I
it.
got you. I got you.
All right, give the people all the locations. Where can people find you? Where can people buy the book?
Got you. So my name is Mark Bandy. I'm the writer of this book, PSION. You can find it on our e-store at pretty much if you just Google Crimson Sleeper Studios, we will pop up. But if you're also on TikTok, we are in the TikTok shop. It's actually where we do pretty good business nowadays in the TikTok shop. So if you like to buy through them, we're also available. Right now, we are in pre-launch for issue 2. These are actually the covers we have. We were actually lucky enough to get variant cover artwork from Nicholas Draper Ivy, a DC cover artist, which is super duper dope. So we are currently in the campaign for that, like we talked about earlier. So if you are on Kickstarter, if you just type in Scion, we will be the first one to pop up. So yeah, you can find us there as well. So and socials is just Crimson Sleeper Studios. You type in Crimson Sleeper Studios on that platform, we will pop up. Make it easy on you.
Outstanding. All right, folks, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you in the next one. Put up to the scene. They try to front like, don't you know it's